And we are live at the half. We were going to go live to Palm Desert, but instead we're going to go live.
We have classic cars from the first time in Shadow Hills, which I'm super duper excited about. We've always had trucks that are great, but it's really fun to have 3 different car clubs here tonight that are carrying our kids. They seem just as excited to be here as the kids do. So enjoy.
That was Mary Alexander.
Always gotta love Mary, the ASB director, the activities director at Shadow Hills. We're live at the dungeon at Shadow Hills. We will go to Chris Culian in a little bit for Palm Desert. They got about just under 3 minutes to go against Murrieta Mesa, but it's 14-0 right now at the dungeon at Shadow Hills, and we are joined by none other than Kristen Wood, who is the Desert Sands Unified School District LCAP coordinator, and I was told, let's see where I've got my little note here. It is Desert Sands Unified School District Thought Exchange. You can go to www.tejoin.com and enter code 978-063-774. We're at homecoming at Shadow, and Kristen, tell us real quick before we go to the parade of princesses and princesses, what you know about tejoin.com?
Okay, so the Thought Exchange is for our community members, all of our community members, to give us feedback on COVID-19 relief funding. So the district is getting some relief funding, and we want our community's feedback on what they think is most important to support our staff and students.
Always great. As the longtime voice of the Knights prior to this last 2 seasons, it's nights like this that I miss but don't miss. I'm super envious of Mary Alexander and the fun she gets to have for a week at school and her job, but at the same time, that is an unenviable job of having to put together homecoming, especially in the second month of school. And yes, you are hearing this correct. It is Shadow Hills' homecoming already in the second week in September. They are playing Paloma Valley tonight. It's 14-0 at the half. We are joined by Kristen Wood, the Desert Sands Unified School District LCAP coordinator. You can follow her on Twitter at the LCAP lady. And of course, we put out there, if you have any questions for myself and our guests will be joining us here in just a couple minutes, Chris Culian from Palm Desert. What's the crowd like for homecoming, Kristen?
Well, it's absolutely amazing. A typical Shadow Hills evening with lots of spirit and cheering, families, friends, staff, students, alumni. It's absolutely amazing.
Always a great time at the dungeon. Was there a few weeks ago for the Mayor's Cup game. I know that you, I think if I'm not mistaken, Kristen, you have a little connection to Shadow Hills. I believe your husband was the principal at Shadow prior to Mr. Fajardo.
Yes, my husband was the principal here, and then when he moved to the district to be senior director of curriculum and instruction and assessment, I moved over from Desert Ridge. I was an assistant principal there and became the assistant principal here at Shadow Hills. And our 2 youngest children attend Shadow Hills. Colin just graduated last year, and we have a sophomore here, Kaiden.
It's a great school. It is. I didn't go there, but it's my community school. Eventually, my kids will probably one day. Always great to see the crazy decorations these different classes do during homecoming. I'm always partial to the underclassmen because when I was in high school, it was a tradition that even as terrible as the float could be, the seniors always won, but the seniors were so bad my first year in high school, the freshmen upset the seniors. So I take pride.
I think we got that here too.
Yeah. So I take pride in the underclassmen. Go freshmen, go sophomores. So
absolutely.
Yeah, as you can see on the bottom ticker, just real quick, give you a run through of the scores. As we mentioned, the homecoming game between Shadow Hills and Paloma Valley is 14-0 Knights. Murrieta Mesa, it's in the second quarter, 28-16. Palm Desert, Palm Springs leads Knight High School 29-7 halftime. And you can see the scores on the bottom of the screen there. A couple of games, unfortunately, were canceled tonight. Yucca Valley, unfortunately, did not get to christen their new stadium. The Trojans will have to wait another week. Their game was canceled due to COVID protocol, as well, unfortunately, was Rancho Mirage's game tonight. As a member of the district office, Kristen, there is nothing is off limits. Nothing is safe when a student or a coach tests positive. So it's good to see that everyone's taking this thing still very, very seriously. Unfortunately, like I said, someone within the Rancho Mirage family tested positive, and so whoever that is, we wish them a speedy recovery and hope that the Rattlers can get back on the field next week, as well as the Trojans up in Yucca Valley. And we're still waiting for Chris Julian to join us from Palm Desert here in just a couple of moments. I believe they are inching ever so closer to halftime at Palm Desert. Chris, 1 minute. Okay, we're getting the 1 minute signal from Palm Desert. It's 28-19 now there at Palm Desert. Do you miss nights like this, Kristen, homecoming, or is this one of your favorite ones?
Oh, absolutely. I completely and totally miss campus, miss the nights, miss nights like this, homecoming, Friday night lights, right? It's incredible. And this campus has so much spirit. I was talking with Mr. Fajardo earlier, and there's just something about this campus. When you step on this campus, you just get a big hug. The feeling is incredible here.
It is a great campus, and it's funny every single time that I talk to someone about Shadow Hills in my neighborhood or around the valley, they always go like, "What's that school over there? Is that like a community college? Is that a university?" I'm like, "No, that's a high school." That is very much a high school. When I would cover the this is the big moment. This is the big reveal.
This is the big moment.
All right, who is going to be the king and queen of homecoming? And we're live at the dungeon. I know this is a time-honored tradition. Do we know who the nominees, the prince and princess nominees, are there?
I don't. I know that Ruben Diaz is right there in the middle.
And for those who don't know, usually, there's the new king and queen of homecoming. And I know everyone's excited, but I know that Mary Alexander, who's just off screen to the left there, is probably super excited because her night's over for homecoming.
Yes, we do have homecoming dance tomorrow, though.
Oh, that's right. For football, all the anxiety of the parade and everything is kind of over. So, and we will be joined here momentarily. I think we lost Chris Cooley, and at least the video feed. We'll get that back here in just a little bit. I
have Mr. Fajardo here. Do you want to hear from Mr. Fajardo?
There he is.
Is that Mr. Webb?
There he is. Pillow.
Oh, Mr. Pillow, what's going on, sir?
What's going on,
Just want to say thank you again for all the support, Pillow.
Hey,
just announced who our homecoming king and queen are. It's a beautiful night. Oh, a little humid, but you know what? All the better reason to celebrate, right? Appreciate you, Pillow. Thank you, man. Right on.
Oh yeah, fight on! Got to tell him, fellow. I mean, he actually attended SC. I'm just a fan, but fight on for the Trojans. So, now
they're like, what? No.
So great to see. It's one of the great traditions of high school football and high school sports is homecoming night. The community, it's Kristen. It's like nice like this. Of course, traditionally you call it homecoming because the alumni get to come back and enjoy the game. And it's great. This school, what now? I think it's 12th year of existence, and still a strong alumni presence coming back.
Yes. Well, I've actually seen quite a bit of alumni come back and have spoken with kids in the stadium. And of course, even our son came back to celebrate tonight as well. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, it is always a lot of fun, and we'll be joining. We're just still trying to see if we can get. I lost the video feed for Chris Culian. So Chris, if you could, I don't know what happened to the camera. You know, technology sometimes it doesn't always work 100% of the time. Oh, we got Chris coming back about 15 seconds. All
right.
So now that you're working, you're at the. I'm again saying you're at the district office.
Yes.
Now you have to kind of root for everybody, or do you still have a kind of a soft spot for Shadow?
Of course, I root for everybody, but naturally, I have a soft spot for Shadow Hills. We have 3 kids that went through La Quinta High. Both Dr. Wood and I have taught at La Quinta Middle and John Glenn, so, you know, we have a soft spot for many of the schools in the district. We love all of our schools.
Well, the good news is, Chris, it's an easy evening so far for Desert Sands Unified School District because they are all 3 teams that are in play right now. Palm Desert, Shadow Hills, and La Quinta are all winning at the half. Well, at least Palm Desert is just about ready to go to halftime. So, at least right now, it's an easy way to root for Desert Sands Unified School District.
It's always easy to root for Desert Sands School District.
Again, if you want to, Kristen mentioned it earlier, if you want to get involved with the Desert Sands Unified School District Thought Exchange, you can join the team by going to www.tejoin.com and enter the code 978-063-774. And of course, tonight, as always, it is the Desert Sands Educational Foundation halftime show. And of course, there's the phone number you can text below, 760-338-2282, text DSEF. I got to imagine too that it's a lot of fun working with Mr. Webb, with Sean Webb. I'm sure you've got plenty of stories about Mr. Webb, but I just say, what a great group of people you have at Desert Sands Unified School District, and it is a great job. And I have to ask this though: does Marcus make you call him Dr. Wood at home, or
No, we do not call Marcus Dr. Wood at home. But I do call him Dr. Wood at work.
At work, okay. No, my brother's also a doctor, and so I always ask him. I said, "Do you make everybody at home call you doctor?" So, I do want to say one more thing because, if I'm not mistaken, I know Marcus did, but did you join him up in Eugene last weekend?
I did. It was so amazing to go and see Jake Shipley. We are so proud of him and not doing it right. It was absolutely incredible, and it was Marcus's first time watching the Ducks in Austin Stadium. We've seen him at a variety of stadiums, but this is the first time we were able to see the Ducks in Austin, so it was super cool.
And we will be joined here momentarily by Chris Culian. Are we in the wing of the Palm Desert staff? Are we almost? I will have to say this. I don't know if I misheard you or if you said it purposely. Obviously, Kristen's talking about Jake Shipley, who went to Shadow Hills, now is at Oregon. Did you call him Big Shipley, or did I just misunderstand?
Jake Shipley. Jake.
Oh, Jake. Okay. Well, he is Big Shipley. I think he's larger than Ron now. So, and of course, Ron, former head coach at Shadow, now the athletic director and assistant coach at Indio High School, whose son is a defensive player for the Oregon Ducks and got some playing time. Pretty impressive.
It was very impressive.
One of our great Desert Sands Unified School District standouts who played at Shadow Hills, now officially a Pac-12 player. He got some reps. So we are going to be joined here. Are we still at under 10 seconds, Chris, or where are we at Palm Desert? We're still waiting for Mr. Culian to join us. as Kristen Wood shows us the Knights coming back after the extended halftime. Always kind of a nice thing for homecoming. Good news is you get extra time to rest. Bad news is you get extra time to also not be as warm and loose. But nonetheless, Shadow looking great in the first half, 14-0 at the half. And I think, where are we at, Chris? Chris, 1 second. Oh, all right, we'll let you.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Okay, we're going to go to Chris Julian here in just a moment. Kristen, anything else to close out here at halftime at Shadow Hills?
No, thank you so much for having us on. It was a blast to be here with you guys and highlight our Knights homecoming. And thank you for mentioning our thought exchange. I hope that our community gets on and gives us some information.
And again, what Kristen is talking about is there on below for those of you watching on Facebook Watch and YouTube Live. It's the Desert Sands Unified School District Thought Exchange. Go again to www.tejoin.com and enter the code 978-063-774. And of course, for more information, you can follow Kristen Wood, the Desert Sands Unified School District LCAP coordinator at the LCAP lady on Twitter. Kristen, thank you so much for coming on to the Desert Sands Educational Foundation halftime show, and we look forward to you being our official Shadow Hills representative. Anytime you want to jump on, you're more than welcome.
Awesome. I would enjoy doing that. Thanks, guys. Have a great evening. Good luck to Palm Desert. We'll be watching you guys.
Thank you so much. And that was Kristen Wood and from Shadow Hills. And we will be joined here by, we're going to go live to Palm Desert High School, Chris Julian, the ASB director at Palm Desert High School. And we are officially at the half, I believe. This has been, I think did I mute you or did, hold on, unmute. All right, you got to do it. You have to manually override.
Sorry about that. So we've got all the cheer camp this week. So all the future Aztec cheerleaders are down on the field with the varsity and JV squads doing their dance. So it's pretty cute going on down there, and they're dancing to dancing to Telephone by Lady Gaga.
Ah, nice. Always fun.
That's where we're at.
I love the cheer camp. Matter of fact, when I was still working with NBC Palm Springs, we used to do the little, you're watching Friday Night Lights on NBC Palm Springs. And one of the ones I filmed was during the Palm Desert cheer camp. And it was one of the loudest ones they used. And they used it the entire rest of the season because it was so good. Because you had so much energy from the little ones and the great cheerleaders, the Spirit of Palm Desert cheerleading squad. So always great. Again, I love high school football. I love the Friday Night Lights and everything from the band to homecoming to cheerleaders to cheer camp. And it doesn't hurt too. It's made an easy night for you because you being the mathlete and the former math teacher, I believe you kind of keep the clock and kind of watch the stats a little bit. You've had an easy night because it's the same guy scored 4 times.
Yeah, Hani Joe in the end zone 4 times, and then Bianco made all 4 extra points, so we got 28-16. We did have one bad snap on a punt, which gave up a safety. So it is 28-16 here at halftime. But I'm just thrilled we're back. We've got people in the stands. We've got a cheer camp we're actually able to do. This is what high school is about. It's about getting community participation. It's about the high schools representing in the communities that they're located in. So I want to take a quick shout out real quick to Mary Alexander, the ASB director over at Shadow Hills. The fact that we just finished week 4 of school and they're already pulling off a homecoming is insane. There's no way I would be able to pull off a homecoming already. So shout out completely to Mary Alexander and the ASB class over at Shadow, because that is unreal in week 4 to be pulling this off.
And that's just coming from an expert because you are responsible for halftime here in 2 weeks, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah. Ours, we've got ours on October 22nd. So our big thing's coming up right now. Obviously, we just did the cheer camp. We've got band hitting the field. Then we'll have dance tonight. I've got my music center just next to me running the sound, the piped in sound for cheer and dance. But we've got the senior night coming up on October 1 against Palm Springs. We've got flag game at home on October 8th. And then we've got homecoming on October 22nd, followed by the dance on the 23rd. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up, but it's still in September. Having homecoming in September is still mind-boggling to me, and I would be laying out on the floor right now if I was already at that point.
Chris Culian, he is the ASB director at Palm Desert High School. He is also, and his season is right around the corner because as quickly as this is flying by, he talks about how quickly Shadow Hills' homecoming came up. His is right around the corner. And then guess what? Right around that corner is Lady Aztec Soccer. How great is it going to be back to normal and playing an actual winter soccer season?
Yeah, well, it was amazing. We just had our first student meeting. So we had our student meeting on Thursday. So yesterday, I can't even remember my days. There's too much going on. On Thursday, we just had our meeting, and we had over 65 girls show up at the meeting. Great. And they already told me there's a bunch that couldn't make it that day. And that's for 2 teams. So we've already got 65 girls interested for essentially like 36 spots. So you got to love the interest, love the excitement. And of course, since we're talking about calendars, tryouts for girls soccer are actually the same week as homecoming. So tryouts are going to be Monday through Thursday. And then Friday night football is homecoming and the dance on Saturday. So I am just a glutton for punishment that it's all hitting the same time. But I can't push it back a week because we have our first scrimmage on November 10th. And so we already need the teams picked. And I can't move it up because that's when most of our homecoming planning is. So it's just going to be bite the bullet and get this done. So I hope you might be able to hear our band right now. Such a change. Our band, kind of like football teams, they say the greatest improvement is from week 1 to week 2, right? Because you've seen what you've done. Our band tonight is killing it compared to their last halftime show. They have jumped and they've improved so much, and they are just rocking this halftime show right now.
Yeah, I got to say that is another thing that I've missed. And this is no disrespect, Mr. Bluth, who was the
he was a long time over at La Quinta before he went to Shadow, right?
Long time, and I think he even had connections maybe even at Indio, La Quinta, Shadow Hills band director, just retired last year. Hey, congratulations, sir, you well deserved. I got along with him, but I was always a nervous wreck because he was such a perfectionist. I actually hated doing halftime at Shadow Hills, but he put on such a good show. And what was funny was I'm a pop culturist. I love things. You know me. I'm a comic book nerd.
Right.
I love Game of Thrones. And I remember I saw Florida State's band perform the theme from Game of Thrones. And I sent him the video and I said, you guys need to do this. He'd never heard of, he's never watched HBO. He's never heard of Game of Thrones. He said he went and watched the video over and over again. And he's like, kid, you got something here. This might be a good performance. And sure enough, they added it to the repertoire.
Nice.
Year after year. And on top of that, that was a band that performed with One Direction in their music video.
Right.
And learned that song and played it at halftime. So,
right. I remember when that happened. And Bluth was always huge with props. I remember the setup on the field anytime Bluth was in charge was unreal. They had the props going on as well as the quality music and choreography and the marching. His bands were always put together, yes.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic games. And I wish him the best of luck in retirement. I know he's enjoying it. And, I do miss getting to announce his games, but I am now, as they say, I am the voice of the Rajas, and so I get to say the pride of the desert at Indio. So
nice, yes.
That. A lot of fun.
When I was at Indio, I got to be I was voice of the Raja football team for many years up there.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It's humbling.
Yes.
Going from the beautiful dungeon a press box at Shadow Hills to the quaint Ed White Stadium, but both Mr. Shipley and Mr. Lawson at Indio have both promised me that if I stick with the Indio program, I will have my stadium, my press box sometime.
That would be nice.
Of course, if you want to get involved with helping programs beyond sports and other programs around the Desert Sands Unified School District, you can do so by getting involved with the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. You can donate by going to texting 760-338-2282 and text DSEF. And of course, Mr. Kulian over here told us last week that multiple teachers and representatives on the Palm Desert campus have benefited from the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. And so it's a great program. Love it. And anytime you can enrich a student's life by helping with, like I said, clubs and different programs and teams that just need a little extra boost of finances, I'm all for that. And you even said, Chris, that you're so involved, you have it just automatically withdrawn from that massive Desert Sands paycheck you get.
Yes, yeah, I've got an automatic withdrawal every month. I signed up to support the Educational Foundation, so every month I have a set amount comes out. Every paycheck I get, they're already pulling that straight to the Educational Foundation. Because again, when you find a good and a great support system for kids, you have to support it. In this case, it's the Desert Sand Educational Foundation. You know, some people, they also choose to support like the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA. And, you know, all these things are great things that help give kids something else to do besides only the education. You know, but I will tell you that the Educational Foundation also supports like the math classes and, you know, helps them purchase like extra graphic calculators. It helps like history classes maybe purchase newer maps, because it would appear that the maps are changing just about every year now. You know, the European maps are not always the same. We got to keep updating those. But there's all kinds of great equipment that we're able to get with the help of the Educational Foundation. You know, extra things for possibly our career technical edge programs. You know, with our health department, our film and broadcasting pathway. And obviously, you know, now that we're just starting up our professional dance and our professional music pathways, those are probably going to need some things as we move forward. But it's great that we have something in the Valley and in our own school district that can help support that. And that's where, you know, Sean Webb is at the head of that stuff to help go out and get fundraising. So it's always a huge thank to Sean, as well as the rest of the cabinet of the Educational Foundation.
Chris Kulian, ASB director at Palm Desert High School. He's also the Lady Aztecs varsity soccer program, so the other football. And I got to say, this is since we were talking about Game of Thrones, HBO or whatever, I got to throw it. This is no cheap plug. We're not, you know, shilling for any streaming services, but have you watched Ted Lasso?
Yes, of course. I watched that actually with my daughter and my son, but normally my daughter and I watch Ted Lasso. We have started season 2, but we're not caught up on season 2. But yes, we watched it as season 1 was coming out. I got hooked on that early, where the whole Game of Thrones thing, I actually didn't get into it till around season 4. But Ted Lasso, that one I was on immediately. And yes, huge fan of Lasso. And some like our Aztec Army is trying to get into some of the Roy Kent cheers. And I'm making sure that we keep them all clean. Right. It is a student section. It's a high school that we're making sure that whatever we're doing is above board. And the Aztec Army is rocking it tonight. They're dressed in red, white, and blue in honor of Patriots Day, 9/11 tomorrow, and in honor of the Marines that were killed in Afghanistan. So we've got the red, white, and blue rocking. We've got our all of our American soundtrack playing, you know, with all kinds of like Born in the USA and Proud to be an American and because of the red, white, and blue songs. We've got all kinds of nice hits going tonight in support of this weekend and the 20th anniversary. It's incredible. I still remember I was at daycare with my kids, dropping them off before school when the first plane hit the towers. And I remember being in my classroom. We didn't have cable at that time, so I was streaming CNN because they had a live stream, and I had a smart board that I could project to. So we were actually watching live when the second plane hit the tower. And to imagine that's 20 years ago.
It's amazing.
You know, it's unreal. You know, obviously it's my 31st year teaching, so I am getting old, but looking back, it's incredible that our country has gone 20 years from that moment, and seeing where we are and what we still need to do going forward.
Absolutely. And of course, wearing the property of the Naval Academy. I'm a big supporter of the military, so I got my Naval Academy t-shirt on in support of course, like Chris mentioned a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately, we lost some great servicemen and women in Afghanistan, including Hunter Lopez of Indio. He was a La Quinta grad, and his very much was a huge part of the community, so much that his services next week will be a part of the community. They will actually go past not only his elementary school, his junior high, and La Quinta High School next week during his processional. So,
and La Quinta High School will be doing they'll be doing a special presentation on October 1 now.
Okay.
So, to also commemorate Hunter.
There was a moment of silence we mentioned last Thursday night at Indio High School for him. That was actually requested by Coach Hayes, the new head coach at Indio, who is a Marine, and said, you know, once a Marine, always a Marine. So he said even though Hunter went to La Quinta, he was born in the city of Indio, and he is a Marine. So he wanted that moment of silence. So this brought the whole community together, and also to the head coach for my goodness, I just completely threw a blank on who they played last week. The head coach for the visiting team also said, no, I'm fully on board with that, and send my condolences to the family on behalf of it's great. And of course, like Chris said, yes, tomorrow we commemorate 20 years since September 11th, and I could remember I was running track in college, and one of my friends who was a thrower, who was a big guy, 300 pounds plus, and he didn't know about it. And I went and picked him up at school because they'd canceled our classes. And I showed him the video of the first plane, and it brought him to his knees and just was like in shock. So we all remember where we were, and it's a day that we will never forget. And I'm glad to see that Chris and the Aztec Army out there are paying tribute to not only Hunter Lopez and the United States Marine Corps, but all those who gave their life the last 20 years in support of our country, and those who lost their lives on 9/11. Real quick, Chris, I hate to segue from September 11th to the second half, but rough second quarter for the Aztecs. What do they got to do to come out of halftime for this second half?
Yeah, the beginning of the second quarter really started rough for us because we're up 14-0. Next thing you know, it's 14-6, and it's 14-8, and then we did get it back. So we're up 28-16 now. So we're up 12. We got a little cushion. The main thing is we've got to be able to control their running back. Their running back, whether he's taking a handoff or he's picking up screens, the young man is a beast, man. He is a solid specimen, and we're definitely having trouble bringing him down. So I think our defense just needs to concentrate on taking care of him. If we can keep him bottled up, I think we're doing a good job on all their other receivers and any other running backs and tight ends. It's mostly just that running back that we're struggling with. And it would be nice to get somebody other than Hani involved, honestly. But the kid, I guess, wants to be player of the week or something because he's got 4 touchdowns. I don't have any yardage on him, but it's unreal how many times he's been in the end zone already.
Well, we've got a couple of barn burners happening around the Coachella Valley. Real quick before we go to the third quarter, as the scores scroll there below, we mentioned 28-16. Palm is about ready here to kick off in the third quarter. Palm Springs, 21-14 now overnight in the third quarter. Linfield Christian trailing Xavier Prep 42-7. Last update, Paloma Valley and Shadow Hills playing in the third. Now it's 14-0 Shadow. La Quinta last recorded against Redlands. It's 10-0 in the third. Cathedral City 41-6. That's also in the third. 21-0 Rubidoux trailing 29 Palms. That should be going to halftime. And last reported 30-0 Beaumont over Banning. That should be at halftime. Games going on tomorrow. Desert Christian will be playing tomorrow night, I believe, on the road and against Whittier Christian. And of course, unfortunately today, one of your former schools, Yucca Valley, their game was canceled due to COVID protocols, and Norte Vista versus Rancho Mirage also canceled due to COVID protocols. Unfortunately, that happened because of a Rattler
Yeah, the Yucca one was an opposing player that was tested positive, not a Yucca player. And the drawback there is this would have been Yucca's first night on their brand new turf field.
Yeah.
So that's the bummer there. So I feel bad for my Trojan family up there because I was there 12 years.
Well, Chris, I know as we can see, they're lining up for the kickoff, so I will let you go back.
Yeah, we're going.
Doing double duty like we did last week. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Chris Kulian, ASB director, and the for Ponderosa High School, as well as the Lady Aztecs head soccer coach. Their season starts in the end of November, early December. Chris, thank you so much, and we will see you probably next week, and we'll take you right up to kickoff here. Want to give a special shout out to the NFHS for the feed here. That, of course, is the National Federation of High School Sports. As you can see there, as we are just getting things underway in the third quarter. And, of course, this game also brought to you in part by the CIF Southern Section Ford Championships. So, again, no sponsor, just got to say that technically. So we'll take that down there, and we'll go there in just a little bit if we need to get some updates for you. Again, 28-16 starting the third quarter. A few other games going to halftime. Want to say a special shout out to our friends at the Desert Sun for providing us the live scores as they can. Again, 28-16 Palm Desert in the third quarter, 21-14 Palm Springs up on Knight in the third quarter. Xavier Prep now 56-7 in the third quarter in that game against Linfield Christian. Third quarter, Shadow Hills over Paloma Valley, 14-0. Last report, 10-0 La Quinta over Redlands in the third. Cathedral City 41-6, still showing halftime, but I believe that game is now in the third quarter. And 29 Palms, 21-0 in, I believe that game is now gone to halftime. Like Chris mentioned, Yucca Valley, that game was canceled due to COVID protocols. Hamilton player came down with, or not a player, either we don't know for sure if it was a player or not. I apologize. A member of the Hamilton football program tested positive COVID-19. So that game was canceled. Still don't know what CIF is going to do, if they're going to keep it as a forfeiture, if it's going to be a win or a loss either way. We do know that a member of the football program at Rancho Mirage, we don't know if it was a coach or a player, tested positive twice for COVID-19. This person is now obviously in quarantine, and we don't know much of that other than their game against Norte Vista was canceled. Bye weeks this week: Coachella, Indio, Desert Hot Springs, and Desert Mirage, all in bye weeks this week. Real quick, let's get you a look at next week's schedule, because it is going to become a very, very busy couple of weeks here as we get ever so closer to the league season for their local teams. I know that Indio next week will play host to Desert Mirage to open up their league season before going on the road against Cathedral City in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, it's getting very, very close when it comes to league season. Let's take a look at next week's schedule here in just a moment. Again, we mentioned there are games scheduled. There's one game, Desert Christian playing tomorrow. Take a look at next Friday night. And are there any Thursday games? There are 3 Thursday games next week. Shadow Hills on the road against Palo Verde Valley. That game will be on the road. Rancho Christian at Xavier Prep. That too will be on Thursday night. And again, 29 Palms and Cathedral City will open up Desert Valley League play at Cathedral City. Friday night games, again, this is next week's schedule. Take a look at at this for Friday night next week. That's September 17th. Desert Mirage on the road against Indio. Desert Mirage 1-2 on the year. Indio 0-3. Capistrano Valley will go to Desert Christian Academy. Both schools are 2-1. Again, these are before the conclusion of tonight's game. Myriad and Mesa will come back out here to the Coachella Valley. They will take on La Quinta. Of course, they're playing Palm Desert right now. It's in the third quarter. Palm Desert will play host to the Sharks of Santiago High School out of Corona. Desert Hot Springs will open up league play against the Mighty Arabs of Coachella. That could be a really good game, guys. You're probably going to want to circle Desert Hot Springs and CV, and you're probably going, Kevin, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Desert Hot Springs is probably one of the better 1-2 teams right now. I'm telling you right now. Desert Hot Springs has really got it going. They're really clicking on all cylinders this year. Had a couple of tough losses, but Desert Hot Springs really could play spoiler to CV. I could be wrong, but I'm telling you, Desert Hot Springs is a good team. Coachella Valley is a better team, but DHS is a good team. Yeah. So I want to say thank you to our friends at CoachellaValley.com. Craig Campbell, of course, who is probably one of the hardest working people in the Coachella Valley, pun intended. We're streaming on his platforms right now as well. Want to say thank you. Shout out to Sean Webb, who produces this show every single week. We are streaming live on the Desert Sands Educational Foundation Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as well as on Twitter. You are also streaming live on Prep Sports Net, YouTube, and Facebook. And of course, I forgot to mention, hello everybody in Aztec Nation. We're streaming live on the Palm Desert High School Facebook page, and that's going to be an added feature. As it becomes available, we are going to stream on select home teams within the Desert Sands Unified School District, based on availability. So keep an eye out that if you're a fan of Indio, Shadow Hills, La Quinta, or Palm Desert, there's a good possibility we might be streaming on your Facebook page if Mr. Webb can make that technologically happen. But of course, if there's a guy that's going to make it happen, it's him. Or of course, you can stream on all the litany of other platforms that we have available, including CoachellaValley.com. Other games that are going on next week, Rancho Mirage, God willing, will take their undefeated streak at the home against Chaffee High School. Now, again, we don't know how that's going to work. There's been no definitive word, at least that I've heard from the CIF Southern Section, on whether or not Rancho is going to have to take the loss tonight, or if it's just a canceled game. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And of course, opening up Desert Valley League play, it's really funny to say this: Banning and Yucca Valley. I'm not, no disrespect to the Broncos or the Trojans. We welcome them in to the Desert Valley home, but it's been so long that a non-CV, meaning Coachella Valley-based high school is playing in the Desert Valley League. I mean, I know that this version of the DVL has been around for a few years now, but it's still growing up with the 6 teams of the old DVL, Indio, Coachella, Palm Desert, La Quinta, Palm Springs, and Cathedral City, that being the old, for me, DVL. And then now to see this, I love the evolution. Teams like Desert Mirage and Desert Hot Springs, Yucca 29 and Banning, love it. And we welcome. So DVL play opens up next week. And then, as Chris Culian mentioned, on the 24th of September, we inch ever so closer to a crazy week of football in the Coachella Valley. We're just a couple of weeks away from Desert Empire League play. It is, oh my goodness, it is just going to get crazy. And we do, like Chris mentioned, Palm Desert, 3, technically, if you want to get technical, maybe 2 of them really aren't rivalry games, but they are. You have the old Mercury Bowl, Palm Springs, Palm Desert. That game used to be played in week 0. And the reason they called it the Mercury Bowl was because it was hot. It was 120 degrees outside. And nobody else wanted to play either team. So for the lack of better terms, Palm Springs, Palm Desert, the Mercury Bowl being played, then the flag game, then the Kings of Cook Street. So 3 consecutive rivalry games for the Aztecs, and they're looking to keep that league winning streak alive. Right now, it is 28-16 in the third quarter, 7.5 to go in the third. Let's take one more trip around the scoreboard before we call it a night. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe the YouTube channels. Leave us a comment in the comment section below. And if you're watching us on Facebook Watch or in your Facebook app, give us a thumbs up on the screen there. Leave us a comment. Also, don't forget @PrepSports_nets, the one right there on the screen. And send us your questions throughout the week, and we will save them for the halftime show. Send us questions and whatnot. We'll make sure to put that on there, and use the hashtag DSEF halftime. We'll get that. I'll get that hashtag up for you in a little bit here. But yeah, just if you guys have questions, and we'll tweet it out multiple times a week to remind you. Let us know. This is a fan-driven show, and I'll tell you one thing. I'll let you on a little secret here. There might be more on the horizon of yours truly and high school sports here in the Coachella Valley, God willing, and of course, Mr. Webb willing, and the Desert Sands Educational Foundation willing. So one more trip around the scoreboard. Again, special shout out to our friends at the Desert Sun. 28-16 Palm Desert, 21-14 Palm Springs, both games in the third quarter. 56-7 final score. Xavier wins against Linfield Christian. Shadow Hills in the third quarter, 14-0 over Paloma Valley. La Quinta 10, Redlands 3. In the third quarter, late in the third quarter, Cathedral City 48, Paris 6. And at the half, might be in the third quarter now. I'm not 100% sure. It might still be at the halftime because 29 Palms started late. It is 29 Palms 21, Rubidoux 0. And again, if you're just joining us, Desert Christian plays tomorrow against Whittier Christian. That game is on the road. 2 games canceled tonight. Hamilton at Yucca Valley, including the first time that Yucca would have played on their brand new field. And Norte Vista versus Rancho Mirage also canceled due to COVID protocols. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up here on a Friday night. As always, do not forget to text DSEF to 760-338-2282 to donate to the Desert Sands Educational Foundation. And of course, thank you to Kristen Wood and Chris Culian for joining us this evening. And if you want to help out Kristen Wood with the Desert Sands Unified School District Thought Exchange, you can go to www.tejoin.com and enter the code 978-063-774. And yeah, always a good time. It's the Desert Sands Educational Foundation halftime show. Kevin Pillow with you live from the Prep Sports Net studios here in Indio. Again, thank you to Craig Campbell from cb.com for allowing us to stream on his Facebook page. Hey, tech guy to tech guy. Look right here. Look, yeah. If you've got a streaming device, we live in the day and age of phones, right? We got phones and tablets. But guess what? If you're at home and you can stream the games live. If you don't want to go out to the crowds, you can stream the games on NFHS. You can download it on most streaming devices, Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, whatever. But you can also download Facebook Watch and YouTube on those devices. And guess what? You get to see me, Sean Wedd, Chris Culian, Kristen Wood, and whoever else, Craig Campbell, whoever else we get to come out here and support high school sports here in the Coachella Valley. Guys, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. We will see you next week. I'll be live from Ed White Stadium. I'll be on the road, taking this show on the road, folks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you so much. And as always, go out and enjoy those Friday night lights. We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.